return challenge. It is important that you are here, and I want you to applaud yourself from where you are for logging in on time. It is definitely a commitment to be here and to be present. On this day, you have chosen to see your worth. On this day, you have chosen to plug into a community of fellow travelers on this journey of return challenge. Yesterday, we had an exciting session, and we also got an assignment on email to read. And so we want to hear, how are you today? And how is the challenge taking you? Kanye, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Gladys. I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well too. The challenge is good. I can't wait for today. Yes.
What was your takeaway from yesterday?
Well, as I have my goals, I need to pursue a balanced life. That was my takeaway point yesterday.
Welcome. Be present and looking forward to engaging with you. Karibu Kanye.
Thank
Marcy
you.
Chela Show. Good morning, Marcy.
Good morning, Gladys.
What is your expectation for today and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I listened to the video. So my expectation, of course, is continuation to that lens that Tari mentioned that will help us connect our goals to those legitimate needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just as
Karibu
we work
sana.
through.
Karibu sana, Marcy. It is that season where we want to make use of the most of the year. And to guide us through this session today is our coach, Dr. Job Mogire, the heart doctor, and the one who says, time is now, not tomorrow. Let's welcome and applaud Dr. Job Mogire as he takes us through today's session.
Thank you so much, Gladys, and good morning, everyone. Let's dive right in to another day. If you took one thing from yesterday, I hope it is the fact that if you don't meet the need directly, you will meet it subconsciously. I can't emphasize how important just that core idea by itself is. So I wanted us to take us to go just a bit deeper on what we started speaking about yesterday. And I hope you are ready to take this further. So I'm going to share my screen and we can dive right in. I have had a fantastic day at work. I had an opportunity to help people in a real way. So I'm glad and very delighted to be here. When he came to his senses, I'm presuming you found time to read this passage. When he came to his senses. This young man, this younger of two sons, was living in a wealthy home. He probably had access to everything. He probably had a signet ring, which means he could make decisions on behalf of the family. But for some reason, he felt constrained and decided he wanted to go somewhere else and asked for a share of his wealth. And he would go away. And he goes away, he squanders it. He goes away in pursuit of his needs, only to end up in a pig pen. And in that pig pen, he couldn't even be given anything. If you read from verse 16, he longed to fill his stomach with the pot the pigs were eating. How low do you get to the point where you are desiring what the pigs are eating? And even that, no one gave him. No one gave him anything. Sometimes when we deviate from our destiny, from the design God intended for you and I, We begin to desire what is meant for someone else. And if you are desiring something that is designed for somebody else, their life, their car, their position, their business, in some ways, you might be desiring what the pigs are having, desiring their notoriety on social media, desiring their reputation. All the time you are distracted from your destiny. Because by the time you begin to desire something that no one else can even give you, you are in a far country. When you are home, you are in a place where your needs are being met legitimately. And so he is in this point where he can't even be given the pods the pigs are eating in the pig pen. And that is when he hits rock bottom and he comes to his senses. How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving? Here, whether here is intellectual or emotional or relational or academic or financial, I am. There is the here, then there is the identity here. I am. I am. You can attach anything to I am, and how you are attaching whatever label to your I am is how you're meeting your needs. Here I am unlovable, so I need to be a people pleaser. Here I am unworthy, so I need to achieve so that I can prove my worth. Here I am. What are you attaching? Are you attaching what you are attaching to your I am consciously or unconsciously? Legitimately or illegitimately? He comes to his senses and then he makes the decision. I will set out. I will set out and go back. I will set out and return to my father and say to him, and then he starts rehearsing the speech. Every need gets met. Every need gets met. The question is not if you will meet your needs. The question is how. Will you meet your needs consciously or unconsciously? Will you meet them directly or indirectly? Will you meet them sustainably or unsustainably? Will you meet them consistently and adequately or inconsistently and inadequately? Will you meet them with real food or with emotional noodles? Every need gets met. And this is what makes that realization deeper, that unmet needs don't disappear. Have you ever gone to a supermarket or some other public place with a toddler, and the toddler wants something and they don't get it? The toddler takes over the meeting. They take over the room. They don't ask for permission. They take over. Nobody can pray. Nobody can give a speech. If the toddler has decided it's time to cry, they will cry. Unmet needs don't go away. They don't disappear. They take over. And that's because an unmet need becomes a pain point. It becomes a point of vulnerability. It becomes a point of insecurity. And that is where perspective versus perception comes in. The actor, the core part of you, has the capacity to operate from perspective. The character only acts from perception. The core part of you will look at a day and realize that you did not have a bad day. You had one bad conversation in the morning, but the rest of the day was good. That is the core part of you. But the character is like, I had a bad day. He messed me up. He pissed me off. It's the character goes throughout the day because the character is perceiving. The character is feeling the pain in that moment. The character is lost in that moment. The actor can zoom out and see the whole journey. Some of the things that destabilized you years ago, you look back and you're like, why was I crying? There are some people you've cried for. There are some people you cried for. You look back now. That's because at that moment, it is the character that is caught in. It's that one aspect of you, that particular heart, that particular label. Maybe you are arguing and fighting with this person as a business person, but as soon as you get home, you behave differently. Why? You are a different character. You're playing a different role at home. Your power does not lie in the characters, in the roles, in the masks. It lies in the core, such that your unshakability will never rest in your success as a business person, as a speaker, as a writer, as a teacher, as a creator. It will never lie there, because those are identities that are shifting. They are labels, they are masks. The power lies in being able to take more complete perspective. And the only part of you that can take perspective is the core, not the characters. Unmet needs become pain points and they take over. I remember as a boy growing up in Kisii, and for much of my schooling, I walked to school. And there would be those days when a thorn pierced somewhere on your foot and there is pain there. When I am walking to school and I have a painful spot in my leg, that spot takes over. And the way I position the leg is all designed to protect that spot. And that is the cost of an unmet need. You begin subconsciously to structure your life to protect the unmet need. It's like having a sore thumb. If you have a sore thumb and you have to go to the farm to farm, the way you hold the shovel is with the thumb already protected. Perception is about what you feel in that moment, and therefore what decisions you make, what you feel in that moment. And perception is primarily a survival instinct. Perception is how you tell whether something is hot or cold. Perception is sense. There is physical sense, but then there is emotional sense. Perception is how you tell whether they are likely to accept you into this group or reject you. They are respecting you or they are looking down upon. That is perception. Perspective stands way behind. Perspective is what gives you room for you to stop judging yourself. Perception says, why do I keep doing this? Because perception is focused on this moment, on this specific thing, on this specific question. It's narrowed down. Why can't I stop? Why am I like this? Because perception narrows you down. Perception is like a Pharisee. It takes you and takes one thing and narrows it down to that one thing. That's why when Pharisees, every single time Pharisees were accusing someone, they highlighted one specific law. Because they need one narrow thing, they have to narrow down. That is perception. Perspective is the ability to step back. And the more we can become intentional, to begin to look at what has happened in our lives, what is happening, what is going to happen this year, from perspective, realizing that our most important role this year is to design the year with the goal of meeting the needs. Because if you meet the need consistently, the results will follow. If you meet the need consistently, the results will follow. If you pursue results, you will sacrifice some needs and they will become like toddlers and they will take over. When you look at the 6 layers, which we will keep revisiting, at the core is the core self. The next is identity. Then after that, there is beliefs. Then there is capabilities. And then finally, behavior. Behavior is the fifth layer. It's the second layer from outside. Behavior is how you interact with the sixth layer, which is environment. Behavior is simply a delivery mechanism. So that when you are judging your behavior, you are judging the fifth layer. When what you are judging in the fifth layer comes from somewhere in between. At the level of behavior, you can only operate with perception. You are absorbed in what is going on in that moment. Your behavior is just a delivery mechanism. Your behavior is just a delivery mechanism. Your behavior, you can change your behavior as many times as you want. It creates a pattern that keeps repeating itself. If you're overworking, it's either certainty or significance. If you are people pleasing, it's because of love or connection. If you are over controlling, micromanaging, it's about certainty. If you find you are restless, you need stimulation, you need to break the pattern. A lot of the times we reach for our phones because we are restless and we don't realize it. And partly it's because we have not designed an intentional system to create the variety that actually benefits us. If you've lived in almost ready until it becomes a permanent address, perpetual preparation, it's because you have the unmet need for growth. You have a broken relationship with growth. And if you are giving from an empty place, it's because you're trying to meet contribution illegitimately. Trying to meet contribution before there is growth. Trying to meet contribution before there is that inner settledness about your worth. So that what you give has nothing to do with how much more valuable you are. And so let's now think, I don't know which of these apply to you. Are there any needs that you might be meeting unconsciously? And what might it be costing you? Might any of this apply to you? I don't know. I know the ones that apply to me. And I need to add more so that it's a complete list. And all of this come down to integrity. Integrity is not about what you tell people. It's about being true to your needs, being true to your assignment. Integrity about honoring the core self so that the core self does not serve your behavior, the core self does not serve your identity, the core self does not serve your environment, but the environment, your identity, your behavior, your skills, they begin to serve the core self. So for today, this is the shift. And this is, if you forget everything we've talked about today, this is the shift for the day. That's the shift for today. This is the shift for today. When you look back and you remember a season when you did something you're not proud of, get out of the perception of how wrong it was, get into the perspective of what was I trying to fulfill? What need was I trying to fulfill? When I lent this person money who I knew there is no chance they were going to pay me back, what need was I trying to fulfill? When I stayed too long, it's not because there was something wrong with me. It's because there is a need I was trying to fulfill. When I shouted at my colleague at work or at my kids at home, or when I burst out with an emotional overburst, it's not what was wrong with me. That is perception. That is being tied into and enmeshed in that moment. Step back to perspective. What need was I trying to meet? What was I trying to get that I hadn't gotten? Because that is where the freedom is. Because the risk is, the biggest risk is that that pattern can repeat itself. Even more dangerous, that pattern will mutate itself and show up differently, but it's essentially a perpetuation of the same pattern, where I can change offices, but that pattern follows me. I can change countries. I have changed countries 4 times, so I know. You change countries, you pack your bags, and then you think that the air ticket is only carrying you and that the baggage you have is just physical baggage. You arrive the other side and you realize that your insecurities did not need a visa. They just came free of charge. Even if you go and rent a small room, your insecurities don't need a room to stay. They'll come and stay by the door. When you are leaving, they walk out with you. I'm sorry, I'm speaking about something painful, but with a light spirit, because I think some of the funniest material in my life is about the things I have done, which when I look back, I I laugh at myself. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I know someone who has previously, several years back, told somebody else's human that they don't want to live without them. I should not see anybody laughing. I should not see- that is because at that point, in that moment, perception is so clear and so strong, so convincing that feels like the thing that I should do in that moment. But my power now rests in the ability to step back and stop being the judge and step back into the freedom, into the space where I can take perspective, where I can stretch the timeline. And the more I learn to see my life as these 40 plus years that look like this, it gives me the power to actually stretch it to 50, 60, and 70. And the way I begin to show up in this next 20, 30, 40 years can be very, very different, just because I am operating from perspective. I'm no longer caught in the day-to-day momentary perception, the sensations of that moment. I had a really unpleasant encounter today at the beginning of the day with a patient, but I made a rule in my practice that every single day there is one patient who has the room to come in and be unpleasant, to remind me that I'm dealing with humans. So when this happened, it did feel uncomfortable at that moment. But when I step back now and look at the rest of the day, I'm like, I had a beautiful day. I had one unpleasant experience. It does not define the rest of the day. But in that moment when I was there, it felt like this is going to be a horrible day. This patient is going to mess up my day. This is the shift. It's not what is wrong with me. It's what am I actually trying to get. If I am procrastinating, if I am avoiding certain discussions, if I am moving so slowly, if I am reluctant to make the decision that I need to make, if I'm reluctant to make the decision to start the investment, to start the business, to make the call, to make the journey, it's not because there is something wrong. It's because there is a need I am trying to meet, and either I'm meeting it directly or indirectly. And this is going to be what you reflect on this morning. And I have 5 questions for you that you will focus on. And I want you to time yourself. From the moment we finish this session, I want you to time how long it takes before you take your phone and find yourself on some social media platform. That's my challenge for you. Here are the 5 questions, and they will remain displayed throughout the entire 30 minutes until 6. What pattern in my life keeps repeating? What pattern in my life keeps repeating? Number 2, which need is it trying to meet? Because that pattern is trying to meet a need. And it's until you take the perspective and stop judging yourself for the pattern. Judging yourself for the pattern is being stuck in perception. When you're stuck in perception, you feel it too much for you to think objectively. Which need is it trying to meet? How am I meeting this need unconsciously? The only way that pattern keeps repeating itself is because you're meeting the need unconsciously. And what is it costing you? Is it time? Is it self-confidence? Is it growth? And that question will help you. What it's costing you, it will help you figure out what is the need, such that the only way to resolve this pattern is to find a way to begin meeting this need directly. And that's something that we can talk about during other sessions beyond the 5-day challenge. Number 4, what would it look like to meet this need consciously? And this is where you give yourself permission to just let the ideas come out. 1 or 2 of them are going to stick out, and they should not be things that take you out of your way. They need to be things that you can do right now, right here, in this moment, without needing to change anything. And finally, what truth is this pattern trying to show me? That is it for this morning. I will return these slides once we close off the meeting. But I would like to hear, anyone who would like to share out loud what has come up for you as you processed what we were sharing. I'm going to just call a couple of names, then any of you that are able to share, please go ahead and share. Shiro Wamwagi, Ipale, Sally, Anne, Ruth, Elsie. Yeah, any of you. Go ahead. Shiro, I see you've unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and good evening, Doc. So for me, I think my biggest takeaway is that unmet needs, they don't disappear. They actually take over like a 2-year-old toddler. So I can see how I think in Kikuyu, we call it a situation. Like you find yourself in the middle of a situation, you don't even know how you got there. Yeah. So I can see how many of these situations that you've found yourself in have been because you're on a subconscious journey to meeting a need, but then you end up in very undesired spaces. So for me, that is so profound, and I'm looking forward to carrying out the exercise of the 5 questions. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shiro. Thank you for, that is the truth, that sometimes you can't consciously explain why you are in a certain place, but now we are searching to figure out why that keeps happening. Who would like to go next among the people that I called?
And let me go next.
Yeah, Elsie, yes. Go ahead, Elsie. Thank you.
Yes. So there's a list that you've given that shows us unmet needs, overworking, people pleasing. So there's this one for perpetual preparation. And at the same time, you're trying to do things that help us meet the needs. So how do you know the difference between perpetual preparation and working towards meeting a need so that it's not a dysfunction?
So the difference between perpetual preparation and actually doing the thing is that perpetual preparation focuses on the end point, where you're preparing to paint the masterpiece, right? But actual steps begins with putting up the canvas and drawing the outline and marking where, such that you are taking the steps that it's going to take to get there. Perpetual preparation is about the fear of starting because you are uncomfortable with what the process will require for you to do. So for example, let's say you want to make mandazi, right? Perpetual preparation looks like going on Pinterest and finding 300 different images of different pictures of mandazi, okay? and reading about recipes and getting 10 recipes saved. In 3 weeks, you have all this information collected, but you have not bought your first bag of unga. You don't have unga, you don't have sugar, you haven't identified, you don't have a jiko. In other words, you're not ready to even soak the unga. And that's the difference, where if you are not taking the first step, you're waiting until you have everything ready. It's because you are subconsciously trying to meet the picture of the end point without the willingness to start with the process, take the steps. I don't know whether that makes sense, Elsie.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. It reminds me of over-preparing but not taking action.
Absolutely, yes. So you're trying to prepare until you have a perfect setup, but you don't have the perfect skills. And the skills come from beginning to do it, step by step. Right? It's preparing to raise 100, to lift 100 kilograms, but you haven't even tried lifting 10 kilograms. Until you get to the gym and you realize 100 kilograms, people take 4, 5, 6 months before they can lift it, comfortably. And that is the difference. Thank you for that question, Elsie. Let's get 2 more really quickly, then we'll finish.
Good morning. Sorry, my camera has malfunctioned. Zoom doesn't detect it. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. I think I'm also at the same place as Elsie on the that delivery of unmet needs. And I was on the first one, overworking. That could be, unmet significance. And I'm just wondering, how do I strike the balance between a demanding career that sometimes I, wondering all these hours I put in because I need to respond to people's needs. How do I strike the balance between, is this unmet significance or is it just a demanding job?
Don't I know what you're talking about? I've just finished 3 years of residency, 3 years of fellowship, so I know that we are in the same field. The question now in your hands, the training is all over. Now this is the career. The question is, realistically, how long can you sustain this space? If you cannot sustain this space for 20 years, then something has to change. And it's very challenging. I mean, I worked as a physician in Kenya, for 8 years. It's a challenging area to navigate, but asking that question that you've just asked, that is the first step. Because if you don't ask that question, the work keeps expanding. The work is infinite, but my capacity, your capacity is not infinite. Our ability to meet those needs is not infinite. So the first step is asking that question, and then also being careful and clear that all the work you are doing it because you are serving the work, and there's no area where you feel like you need to stretch, because subconsciously you feel like when you stretch more, when you do more, you are more justified, you're more significant because you've done, look how much I'm able to do. Because these are the gray areas where the subconsciously unmet needs can begin to show up. Probably might be a much longer conversation, but I think it's beautiful you've asked the question, and that's the first place to begin from. And that brings us to 4 minutes over time. This will probably not happen again. Therefore, I'm going to hand over back to Gladys. Thank you so much, Ruth. Thanks everyone for participating. Back to you, Gladys.
Let's applaud everyone who has spoken and our Daktari for this powerful remark. Please don't forget to type your takeaways on the chat and just remain on the call to answer a few questions as you go away. Are you feeling yourself returning? It's been a beautiful morning. I will not take any comments. I want to wish you a fantastic day, and we see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. I am returning. How about you?